Good evening. Right now, Metro Police are desperately searching for the person or people responsible for killing a man and a woman.
I got a male down in the middle of the street.
Breaking news now, a triple shooting leaves 2 dead.
Never expect for somebody to tell you your loved one was murdered.
This Labor Day will mark 42 years that have haunted the St. Cloud family.
30 years. 30 years this family has waited for answers.
A couple months go by, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you really start to struggle with the idea that the case might not get solved and that somebody might get away with murder.
It's very unfortunate that we have any cold cases at all, and certainly unfortunate that we have as many as we do. And that's why Ryan's work and the work of Project Cold Case is so important.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today on Project Cold Case Facebook Live. I am Ryan Backman, the founder and executive director of Project Cold Case. Each week we try to bring you something new, something cold case related, and keep it fresh and interesting. This week we're going to go back through and show you some of the new segments that have been done by our board member and friend Lorena Inclán with Action News Jax. You see her on here monthly. She comes in and joins us and we review a case. And we thought it would be a good idea to go back through and start showing some of those old cases in kind of what were we calling it, Clint? Like a marathon segment. It's not a real marathon. It's like 30 minutes, so you don't have to get the popcorn ready and get the covers and tuck in for the day or night. But we do want to start showing these again. Any opportunity we have to get these cases out there in the public eye. We ask that you share them, that you like them, that you engage in the content so that we can reach more people and hopefully start getting some answers for these families. Today we're going to show you cases that include the George Schwinder case and Harry Shank. They were Brinks security guards that were, George Schwinder was killed in an attempted robbery of the Brinks truck at a department store here in Jacksonville, Florida in the 70s. Harry Shank ended up dying decades later, but kind of as a result of his injuries and having to have blood transfusions and multiple surgeries and hospital stays. We're going to so you'll see that story, which was really a scary but interesting one. We're also going to show the Kelly Chappelle story. A young woman spends the night at a boyfriend's house. She had just met the guy recently, started dating him. Home invasion comes in, kills Kelly and the guy she had just started dating. Her dad, Bernard, came into the office and sat down with Lorena for a very emotional story. Darrell Stringfield is one that you guys have seen kind of recently. Lorena did the story last year, but then we came back and sat down and did a Facebook Live on it more recently. James Weaver, if you remember the case, if you watched these, he was the manager of a local mobile home park. He was killed, in the middle of the night in a robbery, and we met with his family. They were no longer live in the area and were passing through town, and we got word that his brother, who was interviewed for Lorena's story and part of the podcast, had since passed away before finding justice for his brother. So we're still fighting for James Weaver and hoping that one day somebody will see one of these and come forward. Stephen Wiggins case, you've heard that name on here before. Lorena did a story with Katie Wiggins, Stephen's daughter, last year, a year and a half ago, and we talked about that one in a Facebook Live recently. Vera Sullivan was another one we've reviewed again. We've showed, it's aired on the news. We've put it on our Facebook Lives, and now we're going to re-show it. Her daughter Tameka has been fighting, for 30 plus years now, trying to get justice for her mom, and we're full support of her. We had her in recently in a meeting with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to try to get some new information and kind of follow up on some leads. So we're hopeful again with that one too that somebody will see it and come forward. And the Carol Barrett case is another one that we're going to show today. These segments are only, a minute and a half long. So, it's not, again, we're calling it a marathon, but, if you can just spare the next 25 or 30 minutes, we're going to show some of these stories and hopefully, again, reach the right people. So thank you for tuning in today. Thanks for watching. We look forward to being able to come on here one day and say that all these attempts at getting the information out into the public eye has finally paid off, and we've started announcing an arrest. So we hope that you'll be a part of that with us and enjoy these segments, and we'll see you on the other side.
Brinks Guard slain in a hail of gunfire. Photos show detectives at the scene. A shootout in broad daylight made headline news in the summer of 1970. These are snapshots of the day that changed the lives of Adrian Saxe and Diana Miller forever.
First words was she said, "They shot your dad and they killed him."
Saxe was 17 years old at the time, but she'll never forget those words from her mom on June 17, 1970. Miller was 13, but the questions she had back then are the same ones she has today.
Why would someone rob a Brinks truck and kill someone? For what? For money?
Their 43-year-old father, George Schwender, worked as a security guard to support his wife and 6 children. During an in-town run at the local Zayre's department store on Beach Boulevard, he and his partner, Harry Schenk, were ambushed by gunmen.
It was a full blazing gun battle.
It was around 3 in the afternoon. Schenk was coming out of the store with a bag full of checks, receipts, and some cash. Schwender was inside the armored Brinks truck.
He was locked in the secured vehicle. He didn't have to open the door.
According to reports, Schwender opened the truck's door, returning fire to help his partner, who was critically wounded but survived. JSO Cold Case Unit Supervisor Sergeant Dan Jansen is now taking another look at the case.
I have one significant piece of evidence that we've discovered, and it appears that we still have it in our possession. It's a hat.
Jansen tells me there were 8 witnesses. More than one described a suspect wearing this hat.
There's a strong possibility that we might be able to run this for some DNA and see what we come up with.
JSO also has a palm print and 33 photo negatives that still need to be developed.
We believe there was 3. We believe there was 2 gunmen and a getaway driver, and we believe the getaway driver is most likely a female.
Newspaper clippings show someone was arrested and charged in the case, but later released after providing an alibi. Schwender's children have all grown up, forced to live their lives without their dad.
We never saw us graduate from high school, never saw anybody got married, never saw any grandchildren.
But now, this case could be closer than ever to getting solved.
If they're out there and they're not in jail already for something else, they need to be put in jail.
Lorena Inclán, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
A local father's pushing for justice 12 years after his daughter was killed in a double murder.
When it didn't have to happen, that's where the hurt comes.
In a new Project Cold Case, Action News Jax investigator Lorena Inclán talked to the lead JSO detective on the case about how the community can help solve this case and bring the family justice.
It's an indescribable pain that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
This year, it'll be 12 years since that indescribable pain began for Bernard Chappelle. His 23-year-old daughter, Kelly, was shot to death, and to this day, he doesn't know why.
There's not a day that does not go by where I don't think about her.
Kelly had moved to Jacksonville from New York a few months before her murder. Within months of moving here, she met someone, a man named David Matos. On September 8, 2007, Kelly and David were found shot to death in an apartment at the Palisades off of University Boulevard. Bernard tells me he heard about the deadly shooting right here on University Boulevard while watching the news, but it did not occur to him that his daughter may be involved until he got a phone call from one of her co-workers.
Both of them were shot in different areas of the apartment.
JSO cold case detective Glenn Workentine says it did not look like the suspect or suspects forced their way in. The investigation revealed Matos had been selling drugs in the apartment. One major challenge is that there were no eyewitnesses, but JSO says people in the community may hold the key to solving the case, and they need your help.
If they're blazing enough, go out there in the middle of the day, just walk in and kill two people like that. Who's to say they haven't done it again?
Bernard often thinks about what could have become of his daughter. He says she would likely be working with animals and maybe even given him grandkids. But one thing is for sure.
It's been magnificent.
Lorena Inclán, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
If you know anything that can help police solve this or other unsolved murders, call Crime Stoppers at 866-845-TIPS. You can stay anonymous. To listen to the Project Cold Case podcast, visit actionnewsjax.com. Just look for the Project Cold Case icon.
This is where it happened at. I don't even like to come down this street. I don't even like to come over here.
Despite the pain this place brings, Jeanette McKenzie mustered the strength to meet us outside this apartment on Justina Road to send a message.
It's just emptiness there, heart aches all the time.
It was after 10 p.m. on October 22nd, 2008. Darrell Stringfield, who went by Malik, was on these steps with friends when a masked gunman approached them, making threats. One of his friends was shot in the leg, but the suspect pumped 4 bullets into Stringfield and ran off. He went into a medically induced coma. For nearly 5 months, Mackenzie watched her son die. He would pass away in March the following year.
I'm just praying and asking for justice, closure. You know, it's been 8 years, going on 9 years. No one has come forward yet.
Ever since, Mackenzie tells me years are marked with solemn anniversaries.
My birthday, I doesn't even celebrate my birthday. My birthday, October the 27th. This happened 5 days prior to my birthday.
Stringfield left behind a wife and children. Mackenzie tries to keep her son's memory alive through them. One of her grandkids is an athlete, just like her son was.
Shalithia, she just got back from Germany. She played professional basketball.
Nearly 9 years after his murder, there's no suspect description, very little evidence to go on, and the people who know won't tell.
I want my son to not have left here in vain, to know that his mother never stopped trying to find out who are responsible for him not being here with me.
Mackenzie is well aware of the cycle of silence in the neighborhood her son was gunned down, but she's not giving up. Looking directly into our camera, she had this message.
If you know somebody that hurt somebody, I mean, come on, don't be coward. Don't be a coward. Come on and speak up. Don't you just as bad as the person that did that to my son. If you know something, you won't say anything, because that person certainly was a coward.
If you know anything that can help police solve this murder, call Crime Stoppers at 866-845-TIPS. You can stay anonymous.
James Weaver was a proud Navy veteran. He was 38 years old when he and his wife moved to Fleetwood Mobile Home Park on Phillips Highway, where he worked as the manager. It's where on May 26, 1985, Weaver was attacked.
It was blunt force trauma to the head.
Detective Ray Reeves has now taken over the case. These are photos from the scene back in 1985 showing opened money drawers and a safe. Detective Reeves says the killer got in through this back door by unlocking it from the outside.
There was some cash that was in the cash boxes in the manager's office, and the boxes were left, but they had pulled out from the drawer. They were opened.
Weaver's body was discovered by his wife and her daughter. The only witness to the crime was a 9-month-old baby boy, Weaver's grandson, who was left in his care.
There could have potentially been 2 homicides that day.
The mobile home park still bears the same name today as it did back then, and this is where Weaver lived with his family. It's still standing and functioning as an office, but the crime scene is effectively gone, making it challenging for detectives working on this case today. But there was one thing found on Weaver's body back then that was out of place, and it could be key.
There would have been no reason for him to have that piece of evidence on his body. To be left there at the scene. Whoever's DNA that matches up to will have some explaining to do for sure.
Detective Reeves would not elaborate on what that evidence is because it's something only the killer would know. But JSO is also looking to track down 6 people who still need to be interviewed, including someone who got into an argument with Weaver earlier that afternoon.
We also have some DNA that was collected at the time, some swab, and potentially some lift cards or latent prints, fingerprints.
We reached out to Weaver's brother who lives in Louisiana. He tells me he's thankful someone is still looking into his brother's case after all these years.
We just like to know that something was done, or that everything that could be done was done.
Nearly 33 years after Weaver's murder, JSO believes it's getting closer to the truth.
The victims and their families deserve a resolution.
Lorena Inclán, CBS 47, Action News Jax. On the night of October 6, 2008, the corner of Colonial and Vista Avenues was the backdrop of a violent crime. The victim was Stephen Wiggins, the man Katie Wiggins called Dad.
I came the next day when we heard, and I came and we saw the blood, the shell casings over here.
She was in her early 20s when her world changed. She's still looking for answers nearly a decade later.
My love for him will never die, so I will never give up, ever.
Detective Ray Reeves of JSO agreed to meet with us about the case.
This is one piece, one of the shell casings from the caliber of gun that killed Mr. Wiggins.
Wiggins was at what was then Maddie's Landing Bar, only a few blocks away. Around 11:30 p.m., he was spotted on surveillance video at the drive-through window of this McDonald's.
We've got all of that on video. And he doesn't appear to be in distress at all.
A short time after that, a neighbor called 911 to report hearing gunshots. Minutes later, JSO found his body.
They noticed several gunshot wounds to his torso and his head.
What makes this case even more complicated is that JSO doesn't yet have a motive. Wiggins' body was found right here on the road. His car on the other side of the road, just a few feet away. The driver's side door was wide open and his car was still running. And Wiggins' wallet was still on his body.
It was not carjacking, it wasn't a robbery, and it may have been someone that he at least was familiar with.
But now, thanks to new information, Reeves tells me they found someone who might help.
We were able to develop someone that at the time was someone that needed to be talked to, maybe a person of interest.
DNA taken from the scene is now also being tested with new technology. For Katie, the new developments are welcomed news.
I just want to know what happened.
To this day, she still drives by this area once a week. She's also working on getting her master's degree in mental health counseling. She's months away from graduating, but for her, it's yet another milestone her dad will miss.
I'll also never have that chance to take a photo when I graduate with my master's this year.
Lorena Inclán, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
And if you know anything that can help police solve this or other murders that are unsolved, call Crime Stoppers at 866-845-TIPS.
Basically right up here in this clearing.
Okay.
Like right up in here.
Tameka Jackson took us out to this wooded area near Clanzell T. Brown Park near Moncrief Road. 30 years ago, her mom's body was found here, rolled up in a carpet. Jackson was 7 years old.
Do you feel like coming back helps you cope with?
Yeah, it's actually even this very moment, this very day is therapy.
During our interview, Jackson would get quiet as she remembered all the things her mom didn't get to see.
Let me celebrate my mom's birthday with her. I don't get that. We don't get that. My siblings don't get that.
The busy mom took the bus every day from her apartment just behind Clansdale Park to the historic Seminole Club in downtown, where she was maitre d'. On March 3rd, 1987, she never made it. 3 weeks later, Jackson's older brother found his mom's body in the area known as a popular shortcut.
We believe it was blunt force trauma, but there were some other indications that there might have been some more trauma. But of course, she was in advanced stages of decomp.
These are photos of what the scene looked like in 1987. Action News Jax Sky Vision drone shows us just how much it's changed in 30 years.
We had looked at several suspects over the course of time. None of them really panned out to be anything that we could put charges on.
Police released this sketch of a man they were looking to question. Last month, the case was featured on ProjectColdCase.org and its Facebook page. The exposure generated a tip related to this sketch.
Someone revisited the case, looked at that sketch, and thought maybe there might be a connection.
Police are vetting that tip right now. Sergeant Dan Jansen also tells me they're reprocessing some evidence, but they still need your help. Jackson knows someone watching has answers.
Did she suffer? Was it quick? Those are the things that keep me up at night. Was it quick, or did you torture her? You know, I need answers. I want to know.
She tells me she'll never lose hope that her mom's case will someday get solved.
Come clean. You'll feel much better about it. You can sleep better at night with a clear conscience. Nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that.
Action News Jax first told you about the murder of 18-year-old Carol Ann Barrett last year. Her case has not been solved, and now a new photo could make the difference. Action News Jax Lorena Inclán shows us how technology could help solve this cold case.
Take a look at this sketch. Action News Jax showed it to you last year in November. And now, look at this one, a new and improved composite of the same suspect. It's all thanks to St. Augustine-based Face Logics.
Basically, what we're looking for is the points of the face, and we're almost going to do like a manual facial identification.
This is the person JSO says is suspected of killing 18-year-old Carol Ann Barrett during a spring break trip in Daytona Beach. Her body was found off of I-95 near Jacksonville's airport. For Carol's niece, Claire Gilligan, this new composite changes everything.
It definitely looks like an actual person. It's not just, you know, a pencil and paper, you know, kind of thing. I actually thought it looked a lot like my aunt's ex-boyfriend.
Face Logics showed us how many other composites they've created that have been successful. The St. Augustine Police Department already works with Face Logics on some of its cases, and Rousseau tells me it's been working with departments across the state of Florida and also some federal agencies as well.
So even for smaller agencies, they now have those resources that they wouldn't have before.
38 years later, Barrett's death is still impacting her family, including Gilligan's children.
I don't let certain things happen. You know, I'm very cautious.
Take another good look at this photo. The features are very distinct, down to the mole and even the clothing he may have been wearing.
What if it's your family? Wouldn't you want closure? Wouldn't you want someone to speak out?
Lorena Inclán, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
All right, thanks for tuning in and watching those for us. Like we said, a lot of work has gone into those. Months and months of planning and weeks of logistics, and to get those interviews scheduled, to get time with law enforcement, get time with families, sometimes with us as well. So thanks to Lorena and Action News for their Project Cold Case segments that they air. We have some more of those. We'll fill those in as time goes on. We'll also do the same thing with Katie Jeffries and her Unsolved series over at First Coast News. And hopefully, again, as we re-feature these segments, we'll start to generate more leads and tips. Thank you guys for watching. For those of you local in town, know that Thursday is our support meeting. And we look forward to hopefully having you come down to the office. It's a very casual atmosphere. We're going to have some pizzas. You can talk as much or as little as you'd like, and stay for as long as you would like or as little. You don't have to stay for the full 2 hours. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday. here at our office at 10 South Noonan Street in Jacksonville, Florida. We do those monthly, typically the last Thursday of the month. So if you can't make it this month, we hope that you'll join us next month. And thanks again for tuning in and watching and being a supporter of Project Cold Case and helping us help these families. We will see you next week.